Welcome to the reading of The Shoes of My Sensei by Go Sin Tub. Let's start the reading. I was glad to hear from my sensei, my Japanese teacher, but his letter also worried me. It was 1945. The British had just returned to Singapore. My sensei and other Japanese had been taken prisoner, and the young Singaporeans, including teenagers, including teenagers like me, were anxious, confused, feeling our way under the colonial rule, facing from one subjugation to another. The story begins in the canvas of wartime. It's 1945. It's post Second World War time. The Japanese people, including students, teachers, are living under fear, anxiousness, and confusion. They have to face cruelty after cruelty of the control and domination of the Japanese army. I was surprised that my sensei had not yet been repatriated to Japan, but happy to learn that he was also being treated well. My worry was for myself. I had received a letter from the enemy openly posted to me. Although the enemy was detained, still the letter could have attracted the attention of some clandestine police department. Surely they were now watching me to see how I would respond to Sensei's letter. Indeed, the envelope looked as though it had been opened and resealed. The narrator is worried. He is surprised. His teacher, his sensei, has not been repatriated. Repatriated, returned back to one's own country. The enemy is detained. But the main worry was for his own self, because the clandestine police department, the secretive police department, the police department working in a hidden manner would be now spying upon the narrator, that now how he is going to respond to his sensei's letter. The sensei could the sensei had written a letter, as we already know, and the narrator knew that the letter had been opened and resealed. That letter mentioned a pair of shoes that he had given me. The last time I saw him was at a house in Kawana Road when Singapore was still occupied. He had said, "Take these new shoes. They look too big for you, but you're still growing. Someday they'll fit. I don't mind going to the POW camp in these old shoes." The story introduces a pair of new shoes. Now, what about the shoes? It is the sensei who is giving away the new shoes to his student. Why? Because he is being taken as prisoner in the POW camp, prisoner of war. And he tells the student, "You can keep the shoes. They are too big right now, but one day when you'll grow, you'll fit into them." My sensei's letter said he missed his friends. No one had visited him. He wondered if I could visit him at the camp, and he asked if he could have his shoes back. He apologized. His old shoes had come apart, he wrote. Isn't it surprising? The sensei wants the shoes back. Why? He feels sorry, but he needs them as his old shoes are now come apart. They are now torn. I felt sorry for him, an understanding man. He had been good to us and he taught us values. Through songs, he introduced us to the old Japanese way, the true Japanese spirit, the Nippon Shin. He'd been teaching at a school back home when the Japanese Imperial Army conscripted him. They took him away, they enrolled him in the army and forced him to teach the Japanese language to their colonial people. They shipped him, they transported him to Singapore to teach the Japanese language to its conquered citizens. We soon found him different from the arrogant and sadistic Hite-san, the Japanese soldiers who treated us like dirt. The sensei was a kind man, an understanding man. He taught values to their students and he sang to the students songs of Japanese spirit, which is called Nippon Sesshin. The students were happy to have this sensei in their teacher because he was different from these Hitai-san, the Japanese soldiers who treated them like dirt, who were cruel to them, who treated them very badly. So the students were happy when they found a good man, the sensei, in their teacher. He sponsored his students for precious food rations and helped them get jobs. He even took the grave risk of speaking up for students and their relatives who had somehow displeased the notorious Kempeitai, the all-powerful Japanese military police. When the father of Fong, one of my classmates, was detained after he got drunk and trampled a Japanese flag, Fong asked our sensei for help. He bravely went to the Kempeitai and got him released, although the old man came out haggard, white hair all straggly, hobbling on sticks and dragging one useless foot along. After that, my sensei was a hero in my eyes. The whole paragraph talks about sensei, the good character of the Japanese teacher. He was good to his students in the classroom and he was even very good to his students and their families outside the classrooms. He not only taught them the language, the spirit of Japanese culture, he even helped the poor students to get precious food rations. He helped them to get jobs. And he even saved them and their family members from the Japanese army, the military. One incident speaks that how one day he bravely went and confronted the Kempeitai to help the father of Fong, the old straggly hobbling man, and saved him from the Japanese police. And this event made the sensei hero of the narrator. So there are some questions that you can try to understand and answer after this reading. How the narrator met his sensei, how they departed, what does the symbol of shoes mean? And now there is a new opportunity of a reunion that the teacher and the narrator, his student, can meet again. So the whole reading can be dedicated to the sensei. Thank you.